Today I'm here with top pickleball pro Vivienne David. She started playing tennis when she was 8 and began working in her dad's tennis and pickleball retail store at age 15. She started playing her first pickleball tournament in 2018 and began her life as a full-time pro in 2023. She's an incredible doubles player, a loved athlete on the pro tour, and is here with us today. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. A pleasure to be here.
So, when you were 15 years old selling paddles in your father's retail store, what were your thoughts towards pickleball? Did you ever envision yourself playing professionally or even playing it at all?
Absolutely not. Honestly, I've especially where I was selling the paddles, I was in Naples, and a lot of the community of pickleball was the elderly. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, this kind of seems like an old person's sport. Good for them that they are loving it, but definitely not something that I saw myself doing full time. Absolutely not.
What was the evolution to sort of like picking up a paddle, realizing you actually like the sport, and then from there realizing, hey, I'm pretty good. Let me actually try and do this.
So the very first time I played, I had a demonstration day with my dad at some kind of pickleball community, and I think I played with my dad against two older people. And I just thought, I can beat up on these people, just the pride in me getting the best of me. And then I just ran through the kitchen, just like trying to close off the court like in tennis, like the closer you get to the net, the better. Well, they're like, that's actually a fault. And I'm like, what do you mean this is a fault? I just volleyed. It's great. So right then and there, I was like, oh, there's a lot more to it than just hitting the ball hard and trying to dominate just with power. So there was a lot more like finesse and touch involved, which I wasn't really that kind of a player in tennis, so that kind of intrigued me. Um, but yeah, after that, I spent a lot of time playing singles before I kind of broke through in doubles, just because it was more similar to tennis and I felt like it just came a little easier to me. So I spent a lot of hours just kind of drilling ground strokes, moving, picking my targets and stuff. And I ended up entering a tournament in 2019, the World Pickleball Championships, which my dad held actually.
Wow.
And I ended up winning that tournament against a lot of the top names, like singles names. And I was like, huh, interesting. I was like, I wonder if like I dedicated more time and really just put just the time and effort into this, like where it could go. Obviously, not thinking that I would be like one of the best, but I'm like, I'm just curious to see what the hard work where it would bring me. And I'm so thankful that I ended up deciding that way.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's such a good story. I think it's really interesting too. A lot of tennis players went through that same transition from like learning to play singles just because it's so similar to tennis, and then realizing there's this whole other side to doubles. My good friend Matt, who I started the pickleball clinic with, we have a tennis academy, and we started teaching pickleball under our tennis academy 2 years ago, which ended up developing into its own academy. But we started teaching pickleball, and we had this lesson of adults. I don't know how we had like 25 adults come to our first week of clinics. The first clinic, we just
Wow.
the basics, the fundamentals.
Uh-huh.
Second week, it was time to teach scoring. However, we started teaching pickleball like 3 weeks after we started playing, and all we knew was singles. We just played singles all day because we were
Okay.
players. We had never even played doubles. So when we started teaching, it was lesson number two. It was time to teach double scoring. I was literally so scared. I had no idea what scoring was. And Matt was like, hey man, I looked up the rules last night. Like, I think I know it. Not so scared.
Uh,
So
honestly, that's the hardest part about doubles, the scoring. And especially like for a new person to understand, it makes sense, but it takes a while for your brain to just really comprehend. It's like, oh, okay, now I got it. Like with 100% certainty, it took me a while to be like, okay, I got this.
exactly. No, it's tough, but then it's like riding a bike. Once you have it, you have it for life. So, I mean, did you feel like
Yes.
there was any realizations that helped you completely shift over to doubles and like your eyes open up and then realize, I mean, outside of scoring, like whether it's a technique or a movement aspect or a strategy, was there anything that helped really move you over to doubles?
Honestly, I had a lot to learn in doubles because, like I said, coming from tennis, I was very much of a ground stroke, grinded out player. I was not a touch player at all. So, the drops, the resets, the dinks, all of those were very difficult for me at first. And I spent a lot of hours just drilling them, like hitting a million balls of each shot. Um, But yeah, I think it's just the reps upon reps that really helped me. And I guess just the chess of it, just kind of like thinking couple shots in advance, which I didn't do in tennis either, is kind of, it's just very new. Like I feel like I'm using a different part of my brain and it's really fun. Like it's just learning something new like that, adding to your life. Like I think it's just a great life lesson too, just to be able to think before you do stuff.
Yeah.
It pays off.
I agree. Yeah, the thinking is so much more important than tennis, where in tennis it's like, okay, let me hit an aggressive ball to the baseline, let me push him back, let me try and be consistent, high and
Exactly.
deep, and then just see what happens. Whereas in pickleball, you'll make these shots, what's going to come next. It's just about setting up the
Yeah.
right game plan, especially at the high level.
I mean,
Uh,
that's what the greatest of all time, Ben Johns, does amazing. Like he's just 5 steps ahead of the point. Like he just knows the targets, he's setting up the point, and it's just the higher percentage shots that he does. Like he's just, I love watching him because he it's such a clean game from him, but also so thought out.
right.
It's awesome.
I mean, you've been very successful as well at doubles. Don't downplay yourself. You've had a lot of success. Um, and it kind of goes to my next question. You've won a PPA medal with at least 5 different partners this year. So I'm curious. I mean, that seems pretty rare and very impressive. So is there a certain strategy or skill you think is needed to be successful playing with a variety of different people?
I mean, honestly, yeah, I do think it says a lot about what type of a partner you are towards your partners. Like for me, we're all out there trying to win, trying to do our best. Um, and for me, it's like I know what it is when my partner is super supportive with me, when I feel relaxed, when I feel like I have the green light to go for my shots and I don't feel like I'm caged up in a box. Like at the end of the day, we all make mistakes. Do we mean to make those mistakes? No, but it's going to happen. And if your partner has your back no matter what, like there's going to be highs and lows. You're in it together. Like whether you're riding the wave, you're on the high or the low. It's like um yeah, I think partnership has to do a lot with how well you do. At least that's my opinion in it. And also, I typically find because everybody knows I like my right side. I am learning to play the left. I am starting to incorporate trying to get myself out of the box to play the left side. But the way I pick my partners is the partners that really like their left side. And I think I am very, very comfortable on the right side. I feel like I read the court very well. So oftentimes, I don't know, if I have a strong left side player, I feel very comfortable and confident going into a tournament. And I want to give a huge shout out to Deckel because Deckelbar has taught me everything I know about pickleball. So I think he's the one that really helped elevate my game, and I just want to shout out to Deckel for that. So thanks, Deckel.
Thanks, Dekel. Another thing you could potentially give a shout out to is, I know you have 6 siblings. And so I'm curious, do you
Mhm.
think growing up with so many siblings has helped you be more successful in being part of a team?
Um, I mean, I love my siblings. Shout out to all of them. Um, as a team, so I only did tennis and it was very individual. It was always singles. So I never really, yeah, I practiced with 2 of my sisters a lot. Um, but I think the whole team aspect was very new for me coming into pickleball. And that's also why I decided to go more the doubles route because I think my personality thrives in a team, whether it's the MLP team atmosphere or just having a partner beside me. I'm not very much of an individual person. So I think I have learned that I definitely like the team aspect, but I wouldn't say necessarily, obviously, with siblings, like you have to work as a team just in life and the everyday life stuff. But that was definitely something new for me when I started pickleball. So, not
Right.
necessarily helped from my siblings, but
So you're described as a super happy, upbeat, cheerful person, especially on the court when you're playing. Is this something part of your image or goals as a player that you worked really hard to build on purpose, or is it just a persona that comes natural to you?
uh, honestly, I think it's just a persona that does come natural to me. I honestly I started pickleball just because for the love of the game. Like I just had so much fun. I quit tennis at a very early age. I was just so burnt out and I didn't think I would ever do any kind of sport again. So then when I found pickleball and it was just kind of my desire and my drive to play, I couldn't help but smile and just have a good time out there. So it's definitely, I think it helps to bring out the best in my partners, to be honest, because it's kind of like I keep it lighthearted and just laugh mistakes off and stuff. But it's definitely something that comes off natural, and it's not something that I really worked on per se, which is very interesting because in tennis I was very different. I was very different. I was very serious. I was very just kind of try to get the job done. I didn't quite enjoy tennis at all, if we're being completely honest. So that's probably why I was just more to myself and serious. Um, but yeah, I have a really fun time out there, and I make sure that I choose partners that I know that I can have a good time with, and the chemistry and the vibe is good between us two. Um, yeah, so that's kind of how it is.
Yeah, it seems like the lighthearted approach and being really just relaxed on the court has been potentially what's helped make you such a strong player. Because one of my thoughts towards competitive sports. I was a tennis player also, and pickleball. And one of the sort of ideals I've built from my dad being sort of a therapist and has helped a little bit in some of the approaches mentally is disconnecting with the outcome, right? Coming in just to play for fun,
Mm-hmm.
trying to improve with every shot. And one thought
Mm-hmm.
I have is that because most pro pickleball players came into the sport thinking, oh, let me just hit around for fun. Let me just see what happens, like not trying to take it seriously at all.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's introduction to the sport was disconnecting with the outcome, playing for fun, nothing on the line.
Mm-hmm.
They got good playing
Yeah.
that way. And then you guys just realized, oh, if I just play having fun, relaxed, that's actually what's going to make me play the best because it's that same approach, disconnecting with the outcome that you had when you started. Um,
Yeah. So true. Wow. Nicely said. I didn't really think of that, but it is very true. And I think personally to me, how I've noticed how I perform best is to have less expectations. I know that kind of sounds weird because I think a lot of people thrive off of like set the bar high. Like I want to have high expectations, which I think is great. But the way I work and my brain works, the less expectation I have, the better outcome, just because I don't put the pressure on myself. Um, when I put too much pressure on myself, I think I just, I don't know. I think it takes away the fun for me as well. So it's like as soon as that's taken away, then my level and everything else just kind of starts to fall apart. So just entering into a tournament, you know what? We're all here. We all want to win. We all want to do our best. But at the end of the day, I kind of try to remember why I started just because I love it and the outcome will come, whether it's a one that I hope for or not. That's okay. There's basically always a tournament around the corner.
yeah,
Um, but I think that's just kind of how I roll. Less expectation, the better for me.
absolutely. So for the matches that you've been down big and then came back to win, what do you think is the number one thing that's helped you turn things around?
Honestly, I've been down in matches a lot. It is not over until the final point is won. Like it legit, like you can be down. I remember specifically, we were playing semifinals with Georgia Johnson. We lost the first game quite bad to the Brasha sisters. The Brasha sisters played unreal. We figured out a few things in the second. I think we played really well in the second. I think started to just play more aggressive and put more pressure on them. And then the third game, we were down 2-9, I believe, and we're like, we call a timeout. And I'm like, look, Georgia, I think we're probably playing a little too passive, and I don't think we're having fun. I'm like, let's just go out there and just hit our shots. Like at the end of the day, like personally for me, if I lose and the other opponents are playing good, well then that's just too good. But I don't want to lose playing super passive. Like lose playing your game, playing to win. So I'm like, let's just play our game. And I think we just a few shots went our way. We started to get momentum and confidence. And again, like it's not over till the final point is done. So it's just I think calling a timeout and regrouping is crucial in those situations. And just remembering, again, for me personally, like, okay, at the end of the day, I'm here playing pickleball. Some days are better than others, and that's okay. That's also just part of life.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think just keeping a little bit more of a relaxed mindset with that as well. And just it's not over till it's over, basically.
Yep. So, in terms of the tools and skills needed to be a good pickleball player, obviously, sure, being strong and fast and fit, those things can help. But as we, even both mentioned already, there's a chess aspect to pickleball, potentially even far more than tennis. There's a lot of strategy, a lot of thinking that goes into it. So I'm curious your thought. What percentage, of what makes a good pickleball player is non-physical?
Whew, that's tough. Lately, it's just becoming more and more physical, honestly. Like, because tournament days are so long, and especially if you're playing singles, shout out to all the people that play singles and then gender doubles and mixed doubles. That's a long weekend right there. Like, um, to be triple crowning or getting to the finals weekend after weekend, that's just a lot of, firstly, it's a lot of mental strength, but also physical strength. So I think new ex tennis players or really fit people that are coming into pickleball, you just see it. You see them doing well. You see them having the endurance for the whole day. So I think it's a high percentage now compared to where it was like five years ago. I am bad with numbers. I'll be completely honest. So I don't know what percentage I would say it would be, but it's definitely, in my opinion, it's definitely becoming a lot more of a physical thing, which is super cool to see because it's like, okay, now not saying it was never a real sport, but it's like now it takes now people have to work hard off the court too to maintain that high level performance.
Yeah.
It's not just like, okay, I can go practice 3 times a week and I'll be fine. No, there's definitely, you got to put hard work into it in order to stay on top. And everybody is constantly improving. So it's like we're all pushing each other to be better. Because it's like, okay, this person, they're adding new tools or new weapons into their toolbox. It's kind of like, okay, I need to start adding those into mine as well. Or um, yeah, I think we're all helping each other to continue to get better and better. And the people that get complacent and don't put the hard work will eventually probably start to kind of slide back, which is okay. They had their time as well. But it definitely requires, in my opinion, a lot of physical strength.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and you make a really good point because I think that what separates the pros from the rec players, if you had to pick one thing, an answer that could fit is the biggest difference is consistency. And at the pro level, you're
Mm,
making your dinks, you're making your drops, you're not missing serves. And so I think there's a direct
mm,
relationship between consistency and physicality, where the more consistent
mm,
players are, the more need there is to be physical. Whereas at a 3-0, 4-0 level, you don't need to be physical because no one's consistent. So all you have to do is be consistent and you'll win. If you can outthink
yeah.
your opponent, if
So
you can
true.
wait for a high ball, you can win every single point. At the pro
Yeah.
level, everyone is almost a robot. That's that, or even 5-0
Mm,
plus. People are making their dinks, they're making their volleys. You have to do more. You have to, be a little bit
yep.
more aggressive and trying to speed up and have fast hands
Yep.
or for a drive, 1-2 punch. So I think it's a really interesting point from a pro perspective. You're right. It's more and more physical because players are getting stronger and stronger. Though when you look at, let's say, the 95+%, 3, 5 and under, it may still be mostly mental, just because that consistency still isn't there yet. But at the pro
Yeah.
level, more and more physical every day.
Yeah. So true. So true.
Yeah, couple kind of last questions. One is, pickleball is growing tremendously in so many different ways. We have, the pro scene, we have the recreational scene, there's the paddle scene internationally. What area of growth is most exciting to you right now?
Um, Honestly, all of it. Just to hear communities building courts overseas as well. It's starting to grow. The pro scene, I love seeing new players break through. I think there's nothing more exciting to me personally than that. Like just seeing new, really athletic athletes just come into the sport and just making a wave, like making a statement. Like that. That probably excites me the most, just because I'm like, wow, uh, um, more people are just discovering the sport, and it's like it is like it requires talent. Like I don't know, Tyra recently. Like I'm super excited for her for the big win that she had. AL is an amazing player, but for Tyra to do that, that's awesome. Like it's almost as if I won that. Like I felt that with her. I was like, this is so exciting. So yeah, I would probably say the pro scene just to see new faces. But recreationally, I love the fact that I don't know, people are just enjoying to be outside, enjoying to do something physical. Like people have not been, I've heard so many stories, especially when I worked in retail. Like I have not been active in so long. And then when I found pickleball, like I'm out there 7 days a week having so much fun. I'm like, that is so good. That's what it's about. Like to go out there, just move your body around, have fun. Like there's honestly, there's nothing better than that. Like I love that. I love to hear it, love to see it. Honestly, that's why I started as well. So we're all in the same boat.
Yeah. Yeah, this next one is an interesting question. It's I don't know if it's controversial or not, but I've been wanting to ask a pro player this. I haven't got a chance to ask yet. You know,
I'm
there's
honored.
all right, cool. So there's so many, there's a few different sort of debated subjects in pickleball right now. These battles between pro tours, rating systems, um, you know, scoring systems even. Do you think the sport needs there to be a united front where there's one tour, one rating system, one scoring system, one this, one that, or can multiple industry leaders exist in this pickleball space?
That's a really good question. Honestly, I'm kind of torn between it because sometimes I'm like, I just feel like everything is united and all of it is just one tour. But then, secondly, I'm like, I think it's great because the more eyeballs we get on this sport, the better. And if there's more tours, then you have more eyeballs looking at it. Like, let's say, just again from the different tours. So it's like, and then different people are able to break through as well. So you see new players. I do think it's good for the sport to have different tours just because, again, more eyeballs on the sport, which that's what we want. More breakthroughs, more people and players that you've never heard of. Um, so yeah, I'm kind of on the fence, but I do think that the more tours, the better. Just kind of grow the sport. Like we're such a young and baby sport in like compared to all the other sports. Why not? Why close it up? You know, why put a fence around it? Just
Yeah.
help it to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last question, I always ask this: why do you love pickleball?
I've met some dear friends through pickleball. Honestly, like some really sweet people that I call my best friends now. Um I don't know. I love the aspect of again, like it gave me a love for a sport again when I thought like after tennis I was just done. I was like I can't do this anymore. So I love competing. I think the adrenaline is something that I do love and just the whole team aspect because again coming from tennis I only played singles. So then just being on the court with a partner or whether it's MLP like a whole team, I just thrive in that. Like I want to play my best honestly for my partner. I'm very much motivated like I don't want to let my partner down. I want to do good for my team. So I think that's just how I kind of that's just my mindset and how I do things in life too, which sometimes is good, sometimes it's not. But I think just the excitement and fun and love that I have for the sport is I just love it. Love every second I get to be on the court.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it shows when you play, it shows just even on your face when you talk about it. So I really appreciate your time and you're amazing, you're incredible player and just great for the sport. So, you know, best luck, wishing you all success going forward. And thanks again for taking the time.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. And it was my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Good to get to know you and just talk about pickleball.